Good evening and welcome to the Sports Buzz. Hi, it's summertime. I'm Chris Labar, pinch hitting for Greg Brom. High school football starts in less than a month, and we have a great slate of guests over the next 3 weeks. 20 of the area high school football coaches will join us. And starting now, Providence High School football coach Larry Dennison. Larry, great to have you on the line. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Thanks for having me.
It's a very busy time of the year for a lot of folks in your profession. Just speak to what goes on this time of the year as you get ready for football.
Well, you're right. It is very busy at this time of the year. We're just now finishing up. Finishing up some summer workouts. We are going to go up to Salem tonight and participate in a 11-on-11 work with Salem and Seymour and Perry Central this evening, weather permitting. But, between the summer workouts, the weights, getting back to school, we start on Wednesday, so, we're getting things together for that. But when the summer calendar, with us going to a balanced calendar now, we only get about 8 weeks of summer. So trying to get as much done in that short amount of time, that short window, is very difficult. And it is very time-consuming. We're very busy.
You coached Providence now for a handful of years, an alum. What does it mean to coach at this school?
Well, I've got a lot of love for this school, and just like I think anybody that has had the opportunity to come to this school, and especially those that played football for Coach Sartini or any of the other coaches before, but especially for Coach Sartini since he was here for so many years. There's a love affair for this school and this football program, and just a tremendous amount of support throughout the community. But it's a special place. I'm very blessed to get the opportunity to come back and lead the program that I got a chance to play for and fell in love with.
Had some competitive losses last year. 4-7 was the overall record. As you assess the group that you had this year, what stands out?
Well, we're going to be older this year. Last year we were extremely young. Coming into the start of the season, I really only had 3 seniors that had any playing experience whatsoever. We had 6 total seniors on the roster last year. So last year we played a lot of sophomores and even a lot of freshmen. I know with the opening kickoff of the New Albany game, I look out for the opening kickoff, and I've got 7 freshmen on my kickoff coverage unit. And I'm sitting there starting to sweat about it, thinking, oh my gosh, what are we getting into? But, the good thing is those guys are older this year. They're a little bit mature. We're still going to be fairly young, but we got a good group of seniors. I got more seniors this year with about 10 seniors on the roster, and we're going to be better. We'll be older. We're going to be a better team. Hopefully that translates also into more wins for us. We still have a tough schedule, so that's why I say hopefully it's going to be more wins. But we definitely will be a much better football team.
No secret, Larry, that you've had a lot of success running the football. You do bring in a new offensive coordinator in Pete Correo this year. Any significant change, do you think?
Yes, we're putting in a new offense, so that's taking some time. At this point, our defense is pretty much far ahead of the offense, and that's understandable when you run the same defense for several years. The kids are used to it, and so we're getting used to the new terminology and some of the the new footwork and everything else that goes on, and the timing and everything else that goes on, the reads and everything else that happens with offense. It's just taking a little bit of time, but hopefully by the time we start the season here, we got another few weeks to get things together. Hopefully it all comes together.
You'll open up versus New Albany on the 19th. Larry, thanks so much for taking the time, and as always, best of luck.
All right, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you having me on.
Our great thanks to Larry Dennison. He's building a great program at Providence. Up next, a coach at Male High School. They ran the table last year, Chris, 15 for 15. Can you do it again? Chris Wolf at Male High School joins us. What a great accomplishment last year. Congratulations, defending state champ. As you look to try and do it again, what are your thoughts?
Well, our thoughts are that losing 20 starters is probably not the best way to defend a 6A state championship, but it's something we knew was going to happen. You can kind of see when you look at your classes and what you have, it's going to happen. So we knew that there was going to be a big experience drop-off. We planned for it last year. We had our underclassmen get a lot of reps, not only in games but also in meaningful practice time. So we did the best job we could as far as building the young guys up and getting them ready. We're not going to be playing many sophomores this year, even though we lose 20 starters. primarily going to be seniors and juniors. So feel pretty good about what we could do with that group.
You mentioned all the losses, and certainly that's the storyline. But realistically and candidly, what are your expectations this year?
Well, for us, we don't want to take a step back. We, at our level, what we play, and play in Trinity and St. X, and I think when you start talking about 6A football in Kentucky, you start with those two programs. We've been toe-to-toe with them on all three levels. We kind of have a feeling for what they have in their program, and we feel like, we're not going to take a back seat. It's going to be a battle, but, we won at the freshman level the last 2 years. We've been undefeated. So those guys are now juniors and sophomores, and they're not used to losing. So the mentality here is not to really give an inch on what we're going to do. They understand that the facts are we lost 20 starters, but these guys are used to winning on the lower levels, and that's how it really starts. This class, last year's class, that's how they started in 2012. They were undefeated as freshmen, and it went on to be undefeated as seniors. So we feel like that's kind of a culture of the program, is winning, and then when it's your time, when you're called on, you just kind of pick up the pieces and keep going.
So many great athletes have been through that school. I certainly don't need to tell you that. As you look at this group, who are some of the guys you're high on?
Well, I like to talk defense first. We do have two outstanding defensive players back from last year. Outside linebacker Stephon Mays, who is a guy he'll stand out to you on the field. He's 6'2", 220 pounds. He's as fast as our defensive backs. We're moving him to middle linebacker, and I think you need to have a guy in the middle of your defense at our level that can really run and to have some length to him. He certainly has that. He's got the look. He's got a Division I FCS offer. We have an outstanding lockdown corner, Nate Hobbs, who also was a starter last year. He's a basketball kid, long kid, can do it all, backflips, can dunk it any way you want. A very athletic kid, has over 10 Division I offers, and he'll be a lockdown corner for us. And then Robert Sheffield was our dime safety last year, extremely athletic kid, also plays basketball. So I feel good on the defensive side of the ball between Sheffield, Mays, and Hobbs that we've got some really dynamic building blocks over there. When you go to offense, we're going to be a little bit younger. We're probably going to start 6 or 7 juniors on there. But we have a tight end in Rayshawn McCauley who plays basketball, who looks the part, 6'2", 215, just going to be a junior, is our leading receiver from last year. And our tailback, Davion Hicks, started 6 games last year as a sophomore because of injuries to Devin Gentry, who went on to play, who went to Georgia State. But Davion's a 5'10", 190 kid. So I think those 5 kids are really going to be standouts for us this year.
Chris, thanks so much for stopping by. I know you open up with Floyd Central on the 19th, and they always pose you a different but unique challenge.
Well, we've played them now for 6 years. It's a good rivalry for us. We've had the upper hand the last few years, but I know they've got some really strong kids in their program, and so we're anxious to play them there first of the year.
All the best this season. We'll talk soon. Thank you, Chris.
All right, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Chris Wolf at Male High School joins us. We're just wrapping up segment 1 on the Sports Buzz. Up next, Bullitt East High School football coach Mark Sander and Oldham County High School football coach Mike Schatzer will join us on the other side of this timeout. Back live here on the Sports Buzz. Chris Labar pinch hitting for Greg Brom. We're talking high school football tonight. Up next, Mark Sander, coach of Bullitt East High School, joins us. And Mark, it's great to have you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Your first year at Bullitt East, but heavy coaching experience prior to both Iroquois and DeSales. What do you have here as you look at this group?
Actually, I don't have a great answer for that just yet. Just, about 5, 6 weeks ago, I had just left my day job as the AD at Iroquois, and in those few months of being named the coach, I was only really able to get out here maybe once or twice a week, after school, late in the evenings, just to see what's going on out here. and because I still had my day job and I had all my sports that I had to take care of at Iroquois. And so we had a couple weeks there in June where I kind of got to know the guys' names. And then the dead period hit. And then now we're 2 weeks into after the dead period. And I think I know all the boys' names, at least sophomores, juniors, and seniors. I don't know all the freshmen yet because I'm not always around all of them yet. So I really don't know what we have. You know, just helmet practices. They don't tell you a lot. Today's the first day, this being a Friday, where you could put on shells for practices. And then you go today and then all of next week. And then August 1st is full gear. And that's where where coaches mostly can tell kind of what you got once you get the full gear on. And you can tell a little bit somewhat when you have the shoulder pads on because you get some contact in and some hitting. And that's kind of really can you tell if a guy shies away from contact, football's probably not for him, that kind of thing. So right now I'm just enjoying the numbers, enjoying the yes sirs, the no sirs, and just a great community that I'm part of now.
X's and O's probably always a challenge when you take over a position, but what about leadership? Have you spotted anybody on the roster you feel like could really lead in that category?
I have. I just wish they would try to step up a little bit more. You know, this is a tough situation. It wasn't like I was a teacher in the building already. It was already here. And it wasn't like I was just down the road at another school as a teacher coach. You know, I was an administrator as an AD somewhere else, and things are just it's just, you know, the coach's office is a wreck right now. I'm trying to get it all set up the way we want, and I'm behind in my standards of where I would like for everything to be. But for the kids, you know, we're going to have it right for the kids. And I keep talking to them about stepping up. And I think some of them are a little timid right now with the new approach to things, but I think they're very eager for it. And, you know, change sometimes is good. And I think they're pretty excited with everything. But just I think once we get the pads on, and, you know, we've been running around without – today we're going to put on some practice jerseys and some we have some uniformity on one side of the ball as opposed to the other. And it'll come along starting today, I think, with next week as well.
Mark, I appreciate your time. A very challenging schedule in your first season, and I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Take care.
Up next, Mike Schatzer, coach of Oldham County High School. And Mike, you inherited a trying situation as well, as now you're facing year 3. What do you have as you enter this new season?
Well, you know, we're going into our third year, Chris, and it's a big year for us. So we're looking for some growth, definitely from our kids, and as our program gets, you know, more established in our third year, we're hoping to be a little more successful than we have been in the past.
Program has been very successful dating back to the 80s and 90s. It has a very rich football tradition. I know trying to get the numbers higher, has that been one of your greatest challenges?
You know, it was early on, but right now we're sitting at about 101 kids playing football at Oldham County High School, so we're very pleased with that number. You know, we're always trying to grow, but we want good kids who are quality individuals, and I think we're starting to get that right now.
As you look at this current group, who are some of the guys that stand out?
You know, well, we have some leaders in our group who are 4-year football players as seniors. You know, Will Stanley, the wide receiver, the linebacker, Trey Tucker, a wide receiver, defensive back, Clayton Wilson, who's an offensive lineman, defensive lineman type kid. So, you know, we have some great leaders. And we have 18 seniors. Some are a few first-year seniors and a couple guys who played for 3 and 4 years. So, you know, we're pleased with that group.
You'll open up with Ballard, play a very, very difficult schedule. I would have to think maybe not too many more difficult openers than Ballard.
Well, I agree, Chris. You know, one thing we may have going for us is a new coaching staff and a new scheme, but I think, you know, they're going to do what they do, and they do it well. They attack. They're very athletic. So we definitely have our hands, you know, a hard game to play in the first week.
Well, Mike, I appreciate your time, and all the best to you as you try and build up the Colonel program. They're lucky to have you, and what a great school, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Mike Schatzer, coach of Oldham County High School, as he tries to build up the Colonel football legacy. That'll wrap up segment 2 here on the Sports Buzz. Up next, Scott Carmody, Manual High School, Will Wolford at St. X. They'll join us here on the other side after this time. welcome back. Everything high school football tonight. The season kicks off in less than 4 weeks. Up next, Will Wolford of St. X joins us, the Juggernaut Tigers. Coach Wolford in year 4 on the buzz line. And Will, it's great to have you here. As you assess your group here in year 4, what do you have?
Well, we're pretty excited over here. We have a lot of kids. We're going to have 105 plus players, and that's just the seniors and the juniors returning. We have 100 plus incoming freshmen this year, so it looks like we're going to, rebuild and reload real quickly at all levels. On the varsity level, we're really excited because we're returning, 10 returning starters plus our kickers and punters. And I say kickers because we have 2 kickers who will both probably kick in college, and we're very blessed in that regard.
Also have a great quarterback, Desmond Ritter, going to the University of Cincinnati. What impresses you the most about that young man?
Well, Desmond continues to grow. We just did official heights and weights for the season, and he's now 6'5". His freshman year, he was 5'11". He's weighing right at 190. He's not running like a puppy dog anymore, even though he is still very young for an upcoming senior. He's just 16 years old. He is very athletic. He's probably one of our best athletes. He played basketball. He's played volleyball at the school, along with football. And he absolutely works as hard as he can. And when he's out on the field, he's got a lot of heart, and he plays with it.
You can attest to this, but I think building a program at all levels takes time. Now, you're in year 4. How close are you, Will, to really building what you think you can at St. X?
On my end of it, I feel very good. We've had very little turnover from last year's staff to this year's staff, which is great. So we have no excuses that way whatsoever. And I think this senior class, they came in as freshmen with me. So I know them very well, and that's a huge part of it. I mean, when you have this many kids, similar situation when I walked in my first year, I had over 110 seniors and juniors. I didn't know them, and it made it very difficult because it's a long season. It's a marathon. There's a lot of good, bad, and ugly to it. You got to be able to weather the storm. This team's built for that. The kids and the staff, they know each other well. They trust each other. It's a lot more than X's and O's and who to block and how to block them. You've got to make sure your kids trust you and you have each other's backs. And we're in that position. I feel really good about our team this year that way.
You mentioned your specialist punters and kickers. What do they bring, and what is the difference maker with those guys?
Well, Sam McDonough and Owen Johnson are both returning kickers. And last year we let Owen handle the kickoffs most of the part, and Sam handle the field goals and extra points. And we shuffled them up a little bit, but they both have tremendous legs. They have college-level legs. The competition that I use to determine who gets to kick week in and week out, they start kicking from both hashes in the middle of the field, 30-yard line. We go back to 35. We go back to 40. We go back to the 45. So they literally end up kicking 55-yard field goals. Sam only misses 1 a week. Owen misses maybe 3 out of all those kicks, and Sam usually gets the nod. But that kind of experience and talent, our kicking game is going to be very strong.
You'll play a murderous schedule, as you always do. Briefly, some of your opposition, who will impress you or who does impress you with the naked eye at this point?
Well, we're going to find out real early where we're at as far as if we're ready on the skill level, because Lexington Catholic's going to have a very talented football team with skill. I don't know if their offensive line, defensive line have the depth and the size to match up or not, but as far as the passing game, if it was a 7-on-7 contest, we'd be in for it. So we're going to find out right away where we're at on the skill level. And then our second game, we go to Bowling Green. Bowling Green's only lost like 2 games in 5 straight years, and we were able to knock them off at home last year. And I know they'll be ready for us, and they're certainly a team that will match us as far as talent playing at the next level for sure.
Will, all the best to you in year 4, and appreciate your time on what is a very busy month for you. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our great thanks to Will Wolford, coaching at his alma mater at St. X, trying to get that program back to where they once were several years ago. Up next, to coach at Manual High School in his maiden voyage, Scott Carmody is on the buzz line. And Scott, a great opportunity at a tremendous school. What do you have as you enter year 1?
Well, Well, we don't quite know yet.
Right.
We're still in the midst of our first practices and all that, and we're all just trying to get to know each other. We're just trying to figure out the overall picture of just kind of where everybody fits and where everybody plugs in, and they're getting to know us and we're getting to know them, and we're just kind of taking it one day at a time right now.
Talked to a couple of coaches in the JCPS system, and honestly, they think that the manual job may be the most attractive job. What impressed you or what sold you on coaching there?
Well, namely the principal, Jerry Mays. He and I I actually worked for him when he was the head coach at Manual, and I just know what he stands for and what he's about, and that's important to me. And of course, I had always played Manual when we were at Butler, and knew what kind of football team they were. As far as the job itself goes, it's certainly obviously an attractive job just because of the school. Our numbers are an issue, and that's something that we really have to address. Our numbers are pretty low. So we've got some issues to figure out, and certainly some things to get accomplished.
A couple of great defensive players on your unit, both of whom attracting some D1 offers. Sean Pleasant, Bryce Cosby. Your thoughts on those gentlemen?
Yeah, those two, they've played, from what we can tell, they've played a lot of football for Manual. And I think both of them have started since they were sophomores, and it's just old hat to them now. And as much as we emphasize defense and playing great defense and physical defense, those guys are really going to have to be senior leaders for us, and really come through in a lot of different areas for us.
Scott, I appreciate your time. It's a very busy few weeks leading up to the opener, and thanks for stopping by this evening.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Scott Carmody of Manual High School on the buzz line. And up next, a pair of arch rivals in Indiana. Doesn't get much bigger. Jeff, New Albany, both coaches will join us on the other side of this timeout on the buzz line. We'll be right back. We're halfway through this Sunday evening. It's everything high school football and on deck. Coach Sean Coltis of New Albany High School is on the buzz line. And Sean, it's great to have you here. Year two in New Albany, a huge population of kids. What do you have as you enter this season?
I think we have a great group of kids that, care about each other and have bought into the idea of, the weight program and multiple sports and, being accountable, showing up every day on time and being coachable, and just the process of, getting better every single day because you don't want to let your team down.
Again, your second season, reflect back to last year. What did you learn about yourself there?
Last year, it was tough because I had a teaching job in Chicago until June. So, I really, only was there for, the summer and the fall. I didn't have an off season to get to know kids and their families and the coaches and get on the same page with everybody. So I was kind of thrust into it. We had 0 returning starters last year that played the position they had played the year before. The few kids we had back, they got their, positions switched. I thought we made good strides. We before I got there, they had won 1 game, and with those few returning kids we had back, we went 4-5 last year in the regular season, and lost the heartbreaker to Jeffersonville in the playoffs by 1 point, and the year before they lost some 48-13. So, I thought we made big strides, and again, just not just in the results of winning, but just more so in the aspects of a successful program. Just accountability and work ethic and things like that.
You mentioned the in Chicago teaching in June there. Personally, how challenging was it to juggle all those balls in the air?
Well, it's hard because you're not there, and I think the number one aspect of anything, family, business, coaching, or whatever it is, teaching, is building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I was attempting to do it by, taking days off of work and coming down to New Albany when I could. I called every single player on the phone and spoke to them for, at least a half hour. So just trying the best I could with the unique situation I had to develop those relationships. And it was tough, too, because you have seniors that they don't know me, I don't know them, and all of a sudden I'm going to be their coach for a few months, and they don't know my expectations, and probably flip some of their world upside down because, I was demanding that they come every day and lift weights and do things that maybe they weren't asked to do before. So, but again, it's just, I think it'll get easier and easier every year because, when I have the freshman group that'll now be sophomores this year, it's kind of year 2 for them. And, when I have those kids for 4 straight years, now we're all on the same page. So, it's something where you want to be able to build those relationships right away with those kids and get on the same page with your expectations.
New Albany basketball team, defending state champions in Indiana. Is it a challenge for you, quite frankly, at New Albany to get some of the better athletes to come out for football?
You know what? Honestly, Coach Shannon is supportive of the football team, and I try to, reciprocate that as well. So, I think we work pretty well together. I try to tell any basketball kid interested in playing football, first of all, I want you to keep playing basketball because I think it makes you better at football. And secondly, if you have a conflict with basketball and football in the summer, go to basketball. So that way, I try to make it feasible for them to do multiple sports and not be that coach that's telling them only do this or you can't do that. And I think it's great that kids do multiple sports, especially, having a great person like Coach Shannon, teaching them not only basketball, but just, things that are going to make them better in football. Again, accountability, work ethic, being a good teammate, and he does a great job with that. So I want my kids around him. I want my kids on the free throw line. I want them, with everybody watching them, I want them playing in playoffs and big games and just under pressure and becoming more competitive and better all-around athletes. So, it's something that, I think we just support each other and don't force the kids to choose. And, realistically, most kids, maybe Romeo, I think he's a kid that actually has a legit shot at going to the NBA, but the average high school athlete is, they're a kid and they're playing to enjoy themselves, and it's something that, I think they should be a kid. Most high school athletes are not Romeo Langford and going Division I, so, it's kind of something where you want them to enjoy their experience in high school.
As it pertains to the group that you will coach on the football team, who are a couple of kids that stand out?
We have Ezra Smith. He's a returning starter on offensive line. He was first team all conference in all area last year. I mean, he gets plenty of pancake blocks and is devastating in the run game. We have Darquan Richardson at tailback. He ran for over 1,000 yards last year as a sophomore, despite missing 2 games. And 1,000 yards, in high school is pretty impressive because they don't play nearly as many games as, college and NFL. But he had 1,000 yards despite missing 2 games as a sophomore. So he's a good player, a great kid. Dylan Clark at quarterback. He started our last 2 games last year as a freshman at quarterback against good competition. And, Floyd Central and Jeffersonville, and we had, I think, 100 points of, in those 2 games on offense with a freshman quarterback. So he'll be back, for the next 30 years. We have a kid, Davin Alexander at wide receiver, who averaged over 40 yards a catch last year. Just a tall, athletic receiver that can make plays. And then, defensively, we have a really good safety named Jalen Ray that, plays super fast and is very physical and instinctual. We have great blitzing linebacker in Karan Givens, who, is unbelievable, just coming off the edge and firing. And then we have a kid, Kobe Anderson, who started last year as a sophomore on varsity on defensive line that, we're expecting to really lead that group. So I'd say those are the kids we're really counting on. But we have, a bunch of other kids that we expect to step up and fill their role as well. But I think those are the kids that, kind of most people are looking forward to picking us up and carrying the team.
New offensive coordinator on staff, a guy with a ton of coaching experience, both at Jeff and Clarksville. What did you see there to make that change?
hire people that are smarter than you. You know what I mean? If I have a bunch of people that I'm smarter than, it doesn't do me any good. So I mean, I think I saw Steve Cooley. He's head coach at Fort Wayne Harding and had him in the semi-state, and very competitive. Jeffersonville, he was head coach there for 10 years and head coach at Clarksville. So he's been a head coach 3 times. So I think it was a no-brainer. The guy that's been good enough to be a head coach and have some success, a lot of success, and then have him as an assistant and coordinate the offense. And not only that, allow me to go back and coach what I know, which is defense, because I actually coached the offense last year. It was my first year coaching offense. So I was offensive coordinator last year, so now I get to go back and coach the defensive side of the ball. So, to me, it was a no-brainer. And again, hire people that are smarter than you and let them go to work. And to me, that's just a no-brainer.
Sean, great to catch up. I know you guys open up at Providence on the 19th. Thanks so much for stopping by this evening.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time.
Sean Coltis, coach of New Albany High School, as the Bulldogs look to get back to 500. We're just getting started here on the Sports Buzz. 2 more Indiana coaches join us, Alfonso Browning at Jeff, Brian Gleasing at Floyd Central. They'll be up on the other side of this timeout from the Sports Buzz. Hi, I'm Chris Labar, and welcome back to the Sports Buzz. We're talking high school football tonight. Again, the season starts in less than a month. And up next on the Buzz line, Jeff High School football coach Alfonso Browning joins us. And Coach, it's great to have you here. Year 2 for you, and at least this time around, you've got a little more time before the season starts.
Yes, sir. Had a whole off season, which makes a big difference in my opinion.
Well, speak to big difference. What was last year like in the short time frame?
It was great. It wasn't a big adjustment for me because I had been with them kids the whole time. So it wasn't like I was coming into a situation that I had no idea what was going on. I pretty much knew everything that was going on. Familiar with the kids. The adjustment was great. Didn't change too much of anything. So I just kind of walked in like I never left Jeff in the first place. So.
I know you were on the staff there with Coach Oldham's group and have been even back to Coach Redmond. Year 2 for you. You guys won a playoff game last year. What stands out as you enter this second season?
For my team,
yes, sir.
Senior leadership. Really, the quarterback we got is pretty good. We got some pretty decent senior offensive linemen, and that senior running back we got is pretty good. So. As long as we get leadership from those guys, the right kind of leadership, and the right kind of commitment and dedication towards football, they'll show the way for the younger guys, and I think that'll help us have a better season.
Jeff, one of the largest schools in the area. We've had a couple of other coaches on talking about numbers over 100. How many guys will you have suit up this year?
Right now I'm at 86, but summertime, a lot of these kids they don't really want to work in the summer. They got, basketball, wrestling, and they got this and that. They got work. So, I'm expecting to have probably around 100, somewhere around 100 kids again.
Is that a magic number for you there in terms of the style you want to implement, et cetera?
I wouldn't say it's a magic number. It's pretty typical there at Jeff. Next year will be my 10th season at Jeff, and we normally have around 85 to 100 kids every year. So it's about the norm for us. Realistically, like I tell the kids, 100 kids, it's fine to have 100 kids, but we can't play 100 kids. You only play 11 at a time. So, with that being said, 100 kids gives us more opportunities to find more playmakers, more football players, more kids that love the game of football.
A lot of great athletes that will suit up for Jeff, and so many that have played there before. Talk specifically about a couple of your better players.
I mentioned the quarterback, Cam Northern. He's one of our better players. He has been since he stepped on campus as a freshman, to be quite honest with you. He's doing really well. He's being patient with these young guys. I got to keep reminding him that he lost every target he had for the last 3 years. Last year, and Brandon Coleman and Isaiah Blanton, Dawson Willis, and a couple of them tight ends. So he's got to be patient this summer, and because we're starting over with a younger group, which is talented, but they're not up to speed. They're they're not used to him. They're not used to working the way we need to work to be successful. So right now we're just going through that process, and he's doing a great job of leading the way and instructing the young guys on, where they should be and what route they need to run if they don't remember. So he's doing a great job. Dana Overton, one of our offensive linemen, defensive linebackers, he's doing a great job of, coming, performing every day, leading by example, not necessarily being a verbal leader, but showing, just, out there every day working hard and busting his tail like he should, and a lot of guys, the young guys normally pick up on guys like that, man. We don't need a lot of guys with the hooping and hollering. We just need guys to go out there and do what they do best, and that's perform and make plays and have fun playing football.
For those of you at home, you might see the name Alfonso Browning on your screen. It is the same Alfonso Browning that played for the University of Kentucky all those years ago. Reflect back, Alfonso, what was that experience like for you in Lexington?
For me, it was awesome. Coming from California, where it's a little different out there in California. The pace is a little faster. So for me personally, it kind of helped me find myself and put me on the path, to be a successful individual. I loved it down there. The competition in the SEC was great. The University of Kentucky treated, all their players really well and took care of us, made sure we was on top of our academics and made sure we was okay. And, it was a wonderful experience. If I had to do it again, I'd go back to Kentucky again.
Put on your Lee Corso hat. Well, not the big hat, but just the analyst cap, Mark Stoops, in year 4. How close are they, do you think, to breaking through, quote, unquote?
I think this is the year where they should at least make a bowl game. They should at least go, 7-4. 7-4, 7-5, depending on if they play 12 games, and then I haven't really looked at the schedule. I think this will be the year they'll be over 500. They've been close, but like with any big program in a power conference like that, it's going to take some time to get those 4-star talents and them 3-star talents and to kind of implement your system and getting everybody on the same page. I'm looking forward to big things from the Wildcats this year. They got to beat them Cards this year. That's the biggest one, though.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. Being an ex-receiver, though, they do look like they have some viable targets. Would you not agree? Baker, Johnson, some of those guys.
Yeah, they got some viable targets, and I went to a couple games last year, and these kids are big. When I was there at 6'2", 205, I was considered the big guy on campus. But now, you go down there and you see these kids play now. These kids are 6'4", 225, running faster than I ran back then, and it's really amazing. They're doing a really good job of good turnover, man. Good athletes in there, and big targets that can run and catch, that they could throw jump balls to. So I think Mark Stoops is doing a pretty doggone good job down there, getting some decent playmakers in there on both sides of the ball.
Those receivers this season will have played for their 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 seasons. You obviously did not have that challenge. What type of challenge is that?
That, to me, that's, when I talk to my friends about Kentucky football, we talk about the quarterbacks and the receivers or the offense or what have you. That's huge. If you're implementing a new system every year, that slows progress down because, as an athlete, you play better when you know what you're doing, and then you can let your natural athletic ability take over and do what you do. But if you're out there thinking a lot because the systems are new, I think that always hurts to some degree. But, like with Stoops and what they're doing down there, they'll get together. They'll have plenty of time to get it implemented. And I don't think they changed a whole lot. I think the offensive coordinator that's there now was there last year, so they'll probably use the same system, which will be fine. It's when you start changing systems every year. It just hurts the development of them young athletes.
I appreciate all your feedback and the thoughts about your group of kids, and it's great to have you, Coach. I know a busy first week for you. You got a very lengthy road trip to start the season, and we wish you all the best.
We got something before even before the lengthy long first game. We go up to Warren Central for a scrimmage, so that's going to be a challenge in itself. So we got to treat that Warren Central scrimmage as a game in our minds, because up there in northern Indiana, they don't look at Southern Indiana football the same. So We're going up there with a mindset. That's the first game, Warren Central, because we need to get some positive attention to Southern Indiana football, and we're looking at this season in that aspect.
Thank you, Coach. Good to talk to you. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. You have a good day.
Great to have the thoughts from Alfonso Browning, coach of Jeff High. Up next, one of Jeff's rivals, the third in succession, Brian Gleasing of Floyd Central, will join us in just a moment here on the Sports Buzz. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Sports Buzz. In for Greg Brom, I'm Chris Labar. It's all high school football tonight, 4 weeks until the season kicks off, and Brian Gleasing of Floyd Central is on the buzz line. Brian, it's good to have you here. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. Looking forward to talking some football.
Absolutely, and you've got a busy few weeks, a busy stretch before the start of the season. What are some things that you're doing at present?
Well, on Wednesday night, we had a 7-on-7 event with Fern Creek High School out of Louisville. That was our first 7-on-7 event of the summer. We've been kind of having our required mini camps, or not required, but our mini camps throughout the summer, building up to our 7-on-7 here this last week of July. We participated in one against Fern Creek on Wednesday, and then tomorrow on Saturday, we're going to Oldham County for a 20-team tournament with mainly schools out of Kentucky. So that's kind of build up of our summer, and then we get at it August 1st, just like everybody else.
On the Kentucky front, we'll speak to that for a second. You always, or at least the last handful of years, open with mail. What kind of challenge is that, Brian?
That's always a great challenge, and we've developed a pretty good relationship with their coaching staff and their players. It's been kind of a thing here the last few years, and obviously they've been phenomenal. And we've struggled competing with them, but I think we're catching up to them. And they're going to be they've graduated a lot of people. So I think we might surprise some people this year, make it a much better contest. 4 years ago, we did beat them, so it's not out of the question. But they are the defending 6A champs in Kentucky. So obviously they bring lots of talent, and we think it really prepares us for the rest of our season.
You built a good program there, Coach, now entering year 11, 11 over 500. What I guess impresses you about the current group of Highlanders that you'll have this year?
I think we have great chemistry right now with our team. Guys that really get along with one another, and that goes up and down. Our seniors, juniors, sophomores, and even including freshmen. I think they've really bought into what we're doing. We've got a lot of kids. We've got great numbers. We have a lot of competition for positions. I think that's been a great battle all spring and summer in the weight room and out on the field, which has made only our guys better. But our guys weren't happy with our 4-6 record last year, and they're anxious to get back out on that field and get that turned around a little bit. And I think we will.
Certainly, your offense synonymous with a power running game. Do you feel like you've got, I guess, a current group of good personnel to do that?
We've got 4 returning offensive linemen. 3 of them are going to be seniors, and Jimmy Quinochet, our center, right guard Anthony Hodge, who's coming off a knee injury at the end of last year, but he should be ready to go. And then our right tackle, Bryce Polk, our right side of our line will be our strength. They've pretty much started for 3 years, and now as seniors, I look for them to open up a lot of big holes for us. And we've got to get back to establishing our running game. We got away from that last year. We were a fairly young team, so we've got to get back to that. And that'll open up a lot of other things for us offensively, just as we've done in years past. We struggled a little bit last year, but we're going to get back to what we do best, and that's run the football.
So many great schools in this area, but quite honestly, you might coach at one of the best ones, with all due respect to others. Just the caliber of academics there and athletes. Speak to the type of kids that come out for football.
We have a great school. We have, in almost every extracurricular program that we have, whether it's athletics, whether it's the theater department, the music department, we excel, and we want to excel at the top. And we've got kids that really in football that come out for our team are kids that we're not blessed with great athletic talent, but kids that have great attitude, great effort, and always have great character. And our kids usually go on to be great citizens in our society after we're done, after they're graduate from Floyd Central. Most of our kids are going to go to college. Someone may or may not play football, but they're going to go to college and be productive citizens, and that's a tribute not only to our school but to their parents as well. We really value family and those types of things, and in the long run, that's what matters most.
In our remaining moments, Coach Browning of Jeff, right before you, just talked, generally speaking, about trying to bring Southern Indiana football back, just talking about all of the schools. What would your comment be about maybe the lack of respect that does exist for some of your neighboring high schools?
Yeah, one of the problems we have is just geography. You go to Indianapolis, there's 50 high schools in the Indianapolis area alone that are the sizes of Jeffersonville, New Albany, and Floyd. So, just geography alone really puts us kind of on an island down here in Southern Indiana. We a lot of times we have to travel a long way for our games. Going to Bedford, going to Columbus. But I think he's right. We've got to establish some things. We've had some great graduates out of our conference. Markel Jones from Columbus East was the Rookie of the Year in the Big Ten at Purdue. Gunnar Keels, playing at University of Cincinnati. So it's not like it can't be done. We got to start getting some results on the field. When that starts happening and we start doing a better job in the playoffs, then good things are going to happen. One of the problems, with our 6A teams, which Jeffersonville 6A, New Albany 6A, they're in with the juggernaut Center Grove in the playoffs. So that makes, getting beyond that level a tough time. So we've got to do a better job in the playoffs here in Southern Indiana. I think Charlestown has had some success, and we'll see how it goes this year. I think there's some great coaches. It's not that our players don't work. It's just I think it's a sheer numbers game when we compare our schools down here to the Indianapolis schools, who just have a ton more kids and a ton more schools.
Well, Brian, thanks so much for your time there, and you sounded a bit like Jim Mora with playoffs, but we do appreciate your time. Best of luck this season. It's always good to chat. Thank you.
Well, thanks. Football's almost here. We're excited about it.
Thanks so much. That's going to wrap up our show tonight. A great show that we had some of the area high school football coaches. We'll do it again next week. Plus, Courier Journal Jason Frakes will join us. We'll chat next week, same time, same place on the Sports Buzz. I'm Chris Labar, and good night.